I'm not actually sure what's going on. So, well, here we all are. What I wanted to, excuse me, to go through today was actually adding or customizing DAZ Studio interface. That in itself, when you mention the word customizing, puts dread into people because they think that there's going to be a lot of coding or scripting, and while in many cases that is true, with DAZ Studio, oh yes, you can script it and you can code it, but DAZ Studio gives you a way to add all these toolbars, as you can see up here along the top, and I have some down the side here, and I use these all the time, and there's a couple over here too, around here. And I also have a couple of drop downs. I haven't populated this one yet because some of the commands I had in there, oh, hiya, Chris. Hey, I should have said hello to everybody. Hello, Chrissy. Hello, Brian. Hello, Chris. Glad you could join me. Well, I'll have to work on that one, Christina. I did some sound tests this morning and it sounded all right. I don't know what it is. It could be picking up my AC unit, which is above my head to the left. I don't know. Well, anyway, what you can see on the screen in DAZ Studio is the image that I created yesterday, and is the intro on my Twitch channel when I'm going live. So I just thought I'd have it up so you know that I did create it myself. So yeah. So anyway, getting right into it. Customizing DAZ Studio. Now, one of the things you need to bear in mind is that there's not a lot of space along the top toolbar, or down the left hand side, or down the right hand side. Well, I just had a little system malfunction with insufficient space to record the video, which is something I'll have to have a look at later on this afternoon. This isn't going very well at all so far. It's just, oh dearie me, I do apologise for that. Anyway, where was I? Yes, back to the toolbars. There's not a lot of room on the top or the left-hand side or the right-hand side. But if you don't use the ones that come built in with DAZ Studio, you can actually disable them. I mean, if you prefer to use the pull-down menus, then you can disable it and it will give you more room. Especially when you've got all these bridges in over here. I don't use them very often, so I could disable that and I'd have more room for my custom items. Now, one of the reasons I've added a lot of these toolbars is to allow me to actually place characters very, very quickly, so I don't have to go through and trawl through the DAZ content library to find what I need, because I find that extremely annoying to have to go into, if I'm going to place a character, to go into people and then go down and find what I want, because it can take 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9 clicks to actually get where you're going, and especially if you want to load, say, a Generation 4 character, you've got to go into the DAZ Studio runtime, which of course is a hangover from the poser days when DAZ or Digital Art Zone didn't write software. They were just content creators, and they created the first, the Victorias and the Michaels and the Davids. So if you have to go into, your poser formats, into my DAZ library, and my network's being very slow today for some strange reason. It's probably getting old like me. And then we go into figures, and we have to go down and find DAZ people, which is all the way down here somewhere. I could never find it, and that's one of the reasons that I have these icons, because it drives me bananas trying to find them. And it's not only that, you've got to remember where they are. And I can never remember. So as you can see, I'm going through now and I can't actually see where the Generation 4 characters are. I know they're in here because I've seen them, but I can't find them, and it annoys me. I'm trolling through, because I have a lot of content. And we get all the way down and I still can't find it, which is probably nothing new. For anybody that's had to go through the whole of the content directory of manager to library to find things, it just drives me nuts having to do it. And I mean, it's, as you can see, there's a lot of stuff in here. So anyway, let's get out of that. Now, the first thing you need to do, and that was why I was trolling through this, so I may continue because I need to find it, so I can show you what I'm talking about. If I can, I know it, DAZ characters. No, that's not it. I was close, but no cigar. DAZ people, found it. Thank you very much. Now, as you can see down in here, there's all the Gen 4 and Gen 3 characters in here. And down the bottom, there's Victoria 4.2, the last iteration of the Victoria 4 series. Now, I could have done that, trolled through all of the content library and found it and loaded it. But it's just a pain. It really does irritate me, and I will keep saying that because it always has. And Poser's pretty much the same as well. Trolling through all the runtimes, it's just, I don't like it at all. Anyway, when you want to add a custom toolbar to DAZ Studio, the first thing you need to do is create a custom action. Now, when you've found the character or the item of clothing or the pose or whatever it is that you're actually looking for to create an icon or a toolbar for, a toolbar item for, you need to right-click on what you've actually, the character that you want, and you create a custom action. That's the very, very first thing you need to do. And that will, and just accept the defaults, and this will actually put it in the scripts menu up the top, on the top menu bar. So you hit accept, tells you that it's created it. And now if I go and look in the scripts toolbar, you'll see down the bottom there's a Victoria 4.2. That is the very first step in creating the custom toolbars. The second step is to actually go into the customization interface. And you can do that one of two ways. You can go into Window, Workspace, Customize, through the menu structure, or as I like to do, just the F3 key, and that will bring up a dialog box which on first glance looks very intimidating, and I want to go through all the bits and pieces and the windows in here and the tabs and explain what they are before we actually create our first toolbar. Over here on the left hand pane you will see action, and of course next to it is a shortcut where you can actually assign keyboard shortcuts to that action. Now the very first item listed is custom, which is all your custom actions that you have created by right-clicking on the item in the content library, and they will be listed as created. So as you can see, I've made quite a few in here already. And then we have Victoria for down here. Okay, but I don't want to customize mine already because I already have it in this version of DAZ Studio. So I'm going to open the DAZ Studio 4.12 beta version, which is stock standard. Basically, other than the content library, is a vanilla install from DAZ Studio. So we don't have any custom actions up here. I've got a couple, but that's only with me playing with it yesterday. And I go into DAZ library, we go into figures, and I'll go and find that DAZ people again. So bear with me while I trawl through this. I know it's here, there it is, good, right. Now, same as I did before, right click, create a custom action, hit accept. It's now created the action and it's in the scripts pull down menu, as you can see here. Now, you could leave it there and just load it from the pull down menu. But if you want a toolbar, so it's just one click, not 1, 2, this is how you do it. So as I previously mentioned, F3 to enter the customization window. And now if I go into custom, I have Victoria 4.2. And this process or procedure, the steps involved in this, are exactly the same for anything you want to create a custom toolbar item from. It's just every single step is exactly the same, but the first step is to create the custom action, which I have done. The next step is to actually create our toolbar or add it to an existing toolbar that comes with DAZ Studio. Now on the right hand pane you've got activities. Now under the advanced, if you expand all of this, you will see that it's got, and these are actually toolbars that come with DAZ Studio. and you can see that they're actually on and enabled. I have two that I created yesterday that I have actually disabled. So for instance, on the input and output, which is all of this here, you could actually right click on it and disable it, and it will disappear as soon as you hit the apply and accept. But that's not what we want to do right at the moment. We want to go into toolbars. Now this is where you create your new toolbar that will appear up the top or down the side, whichever you prefer. And the best way to do this is to find the create, which is the all of these over here. Find the one that you want to create a tools, which is over here, and then you have your tools, which is all your manipulators up here. So if I was on that, and if I add a toolbar, just click on any of the names and add a toolbar. Now I can name that toolbar, call it DAZ characters, hit enter. Now you would be tempted right now to drag Victoria 4.2 across. But unfortunately, it's not actually going to appear in activities yet until we hit, and this is a very important step, don't just click on accept. For some strange reason, DAZ Studio ignores it. You have to click apply first, and DAZ will do some very strange things. Then you can click accept. Now you have to do this for every time. You have to do this every time because it's just the way DAZ works, and I haven't figured out a more efficient way of doing it. Now when we go back into activities under advanced, into toolbars, our DAZ characters has now appeared, but it is not enabled. So we just need to right click on it, enable toolbar, Bob's your uncle. We have to do the apply accept again. Now I know this sounds or looks a little tedious, but it is relatively quick and it's not something you will be doing all the time. Now we've got our DAZ characters toolbar, which is now enabled, and you can see it there's a bar that has appeared at the end of the toolbars up here where my cursor is. Now I can go over to my custom actions, drag Victoria 4 over and put her under there. Then we hit apply, accept, and we now have a Victoria 4 character that we can just single click, which I will do now just to make sure and to prove to you that it does work, and let it all run through. And this is because this is the power loader. I'm just going to say accept. I'm not going to customize any of that. So far what we've created is just one single menu item or menu toolbar that we can add our custom actions to, and it's just No, I don't have anything on a monitor. None of the sounds turned on. Hang on. Right, I've just turned everything off. I hope that's better. Technical stuff. It gets more difficult as you get older, I can assure you. Things that you forget to do, you run as many tests as you like and it just doesn't matter, it doesn't work. So now we've got Victoria 4 loaded. Now I can do exactly the same thing and use Shelley's favourite character, the girl 4, create a custom action, as we did before. Then I can go to F3, go into custom action over here, back into our toolbars, expand DAZ characters, and drag the girl 4 in there, hit apply, and accept. Well, I'd love to turn off the AC, Christina, but it's oh, damn hot here at the moment. So it just is. I suppose I could turn it off in a minute. As long as the echo's gone, I'm happy about that. I'm going to get a big rug to put in this room to dampen the sound. So. Anyway, now we've got, and I'll just hide Victoria 4.2 and load the girl. And this will please Rod very much. Oh, okay. I'm sorry it was annoying. I can't actually hear it, so I do apologise. I will do some more tests in the week before I do another stream to eliminate that echo. It's a bit of a conundrum, really, because I've done so many tests, and I did a couple with Jay, and it sounded good. I don't know what happened. I haven't changed anything in the room, although I didn't have the AC on, I must confess. We'll get there. I'll figure it out eventually. I was more concerned this morning that the stream was going to be interrupted because half an hour before the live stream started, they were mowing and edging the lawns here at the resort where I live, and the noise was unbelievable. And also I've been expecting a courier delivery of my new fibre mesh computer chair, because the one I'm sitting on makes my backside go to sleep, and I can't sit up. It doesn't let me sit up straight enough, and it's hurting my back. And I was expecting that delivery, and as Sod's Law will tell you, I thought it was going to arrive during the stream, but as luck would have it, it arrived 10 minutes before the stream, so it's sitting in my living room ready for me to assemble. Okay, so now we have 2 custom actions. Now you can add anything you like to this, anything at all. So I'm going to create another one just to show you that you don't have to just have characters. So if I add a toolbar, and I'm going to call this background props. Okay, apply, accept, dum-da-de-dum, F3 again, go back into activities, toolbars, background props, right click, enable toolbar, apply, if you're going to do this a lot, which you probably won't, I mean, really, once you've decided on the items that you want in there, just, you know, to single click to make your life a little easier, you won't do a lot of this. It's a case of you do it once probably in a year, maybe. So now I've got the BG props, but I've got nothing in it, so I'm just going to accept that, and I'm going to go and find the two props that I want to put into there to show you. Oh, come on, where are we? Come on. I'm afraid my NAS storage, wrong one. My NAS storage device has been a bit slow lately. I think I might have to cull some of the data on it. Now there we are. AW backdrop. Now this is just a simple backdrop that I do believe I got off Share CG. And it's got some IRA materials associated with it, so if you wanted to play around with it. But I use this all the time just for doing some render testing when I'm building scenes. So I've created that background props menu toolbar menu, sorry. So I'm going to create a custom action, accept it, go OK, and now it will appear in the scripts pull down menu over here. So now I can go back into the customize interface, go into custom, and there's my backdrop. And we'll talk about the image size in a minute. Oops, not that one. So we go back into here, we have the BG props, we just drag that on top of that, and we go apply and accept. So I will delete that backdrop and then load it again, and it comes back in. But now I want to add the, and I've lost it again, there we go, the materials. So I can go through and do this one by one. I could even add a sub menu to this so it would drop down, which I'll show you how to do. But if I just add, this is a custom action, I'll accept. Now it's available up here, under here. F3 again, and I can go to custom actions, go into my toolbars, background props, and just put the material across there, but I put it in the wrong place. So you have to be, oops, oh come on, do it. Okay, add a separator. Now I can put you up there and put you down there and add, whoops, add a separator. So now I've done that, I've now got the backdrop prop itself, and I can add all of these materials in here if I wished. I'm not going to because it's a bit tedious. Anyway, now with the backdrop selected, you don't have to be in surfaces or anything, but I can just hit apply, and that will change the colours of the backdrop. I wanted to show everybody how to do this because it makes life so much easier not having to navigate through the content library for often used items like characters, props, even lights. If you've created a light set or you have a favourite light set that you like to use, rather than having to troll through all of the content library time after time after time, you can create your own toolbars up here, and it doesn't have to be a custom action. It can actually be an inbuilt function of DAZ Studio function that you can actually add up here. And by that I mean, I'll go back to my production version of DAZ Studio, and as you can see down here on the right hand side of the main DAZ window, I have some custom toolbars that I've added. Oh, you're very welcome, Brian. Somebody, I can't remember who it was, taught me how to do this back in version 4.5 of DAZ. I think it was on one of the DAZ forum. It was on the DAZ forum, and I asked a question and I got this very, very detailed answer. So first few times I did it, it was a bit daunting, and I didn't get it right the first couple of times, but it's working now. After the stream is finished today, and you've gone away with all this new knowledge, well, I hope you do, I'm going to leave a link in the chat box to my Backdoor 3D webpage to the tutorials. There's actually a written version of what I'm doing now. Well, it's just for the toolbars and not for the pull-down menus, which I'm going to cover in a minute. So I'm going to put the link in here now so that you can go and have a look at your leisure. And it's just a little handy checklist and steps on how you do things. So that should be handy. So as you can see, I've got all of these down here. Now the main ones I use on a daily basis are my character toolbars up here, and it goes right from Generation 4, Genesis, Genesis 2, Genesis 3, Genesis 8, male and female. I use them a lot. I even have a custom Victoria 4.2 that I created that has got pretty much all the V4 morphs known to man in it. Yeah, so I use them a lot, particularly if I'm converting 3D Light materials to Iray. I have an Uber shader, Iray Uber shader converter here. I also have an emission shader that I add to any mesh lights here. This is a thin water Iray Uber shader that I use on eye surfaces and cornea surfaces in Victoria Generation 4 characters. This is the subdividing the mesh, which I do a lot on the Generation 4 characters because they're not as high poly as the later generations, and also adding a smoothing modifier after you've added the subdivision modifier, I suppose. And another little handy icon is the zero pose. So if you've posed the character and you don't like it, yes, you can do an undo, but if you've posed the character and you've zoomed and panned, you're going to have to go through several iterations of undo, and occasionally you will hit the undo limit and it won't do it. So you can actually hit the zero pose. I have zero shape, so if you've applied a character shape, it will set it back to the default. I can't remember what that is. Oh, that's just the forearm unlocker. And I also have a delete whatever I've selected in the scene tab. There's a delete all cameras, delete all lights. Now, these bottom four are actually part of DAZ Studio. So I'm going to show you where they are now and go back to my original. So if I go back into F3, and I'm going to create, well, I've already got one in here, which is the one I've got here, but it's not active. So I created this exactly the same way that I created the ones before that I just shown you. So if I go back into activities, to advanced, to toolbars, and on pose resets, right click on it and enable it, hit the click the apply. I've got to stop saying hit. Then click the accept button and you'll see that they're now up the top. Now I use these a lot, especially the delete and the remove all cameras, remove all lights, especially when I'm creating scenes and testing scenes and doing bits and pieces like that. So it's, yeah, I mean, it's just easier, I find, or more efficient if you wish. So it's, yeah, I do. I think it's far more efficient to do it this way. Now the other thing, the other item that you can create are pull down menus, and it's exactly the same procedure or process if you wish, but it's under menus. And we have, from the top, we have the main menu bar, which is this, all the way up to there, but not including my custom toolbars. So all the way up to there, which is the render button, it's all in here. So if you look in, you've got, sorry, along here, I'm talking about toolbars, along the top menus. Whew, got that wrong. So you can see here, file, edit, create, tools, render, connect, la 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 la. So if I wanted to create a new pull down menu for, well, it doesn't really matter, I'll find something in a minute. I just click on here and I can add a sub menu. And it will place it between scripts and help. You can put it after, you can put it before. It doesn't really matter. So I'll just say D-force. Enter, apply, accept.